Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Mrs. G. Today we are going to be looking at the 2019 Social Studies CSEC past paper. Let's get to it. Alright, to begin, items 1 to 3 refer to the following family tree. So let us try to understand the family tree first. We have James Smith, who got married to Susan Harris. So Susan would have James's last name. They have 4 children, David, Jason, Diane, and Stephanie. Melissa got married to David and they had Jenny, and Stephanie got married to Danny Williams and they had Mary. What is most likely to be Jenny's surname? So this is Jenny. Melissa Ayong got married to David. David would have his father's last name, so her last name would have been Smith. Because this would be David Smith, so it would have been Jenny Smith. So the answer for number 1 would have been letter A. Number 2, what is the relationship of Mary to James Smith? So this is Mary and this is James Smith at the top. What is the relationship of Mary to James Smith? So the question is asking, how is Mary related to James Smith? So Mary would have been James Smith's granddaughter. So for number 2, the answer is letter D. Number 3, which of the following individuals would belong to the third generation of the Smith family? So third generation, that means that needs to be a grandchild. There are 2 grandchildren, that's Jenny and Mary. So any one of them that's in the options would have been your answer. So that would have been Mary. For number 3, your answer is letter A. Number 4, which of the following are aspects of the socialization process? So there's childbearing, religious teaching, and recreational activity. So for number 4, your answer is 2 and 3 only. If you are bearing a child, that means you're just having the child. There's no socialization taking place at that point. But when you're teaching religious practices or engaging in recreational activity, then those would have been socialization. So 2 and 3 would have been your options. So your answer would have been letter C. Number 5, items 5 to 6 refer to the following scenario. Susan is 26 years old, she's married, has 2 children and a well-paid job. Her husband died in a motor vehicle accident. Soon after his death, Susan and her children went to live with her parents, her brother, and his family. The situation has changed Susan's family structure from nuclear because it was just her husband, and her children. So you would have option B and C to look at the moment. So it's nuclear to extended or nuclear to sibling household. So since the parents are there and other children are there and her brother is there, that would have been an extended family. So it's nuclear to extended for number 5. So the answer is letter B. Number 6, which of the following are likely to have the least influence on Susan's decision to live with her relatives? Cultural traditions and expectations, protection and care for her children. We know that she certainly needs that at this point. Insufficient income to provide for her children, the love and affection of her relatives. So the question says, which of the following are likely to have the least influence? It would have been insufficient income to provide for her family. If you pay attention to this small passage here, it said that Susan has a well-paid job. That means Susan would not have insufficient income. She would have enough to provide for herself and her children. Number 7, which of the following situations represents a recent change in roles of family members? Fathers being employed in white-collar jobs, that was always happening. Mothers spending more time with their babies, that was also happening. Adolescents playing a part in family decision making. Yes, this one is very recent. Grandparents were always playing an effective role at socialization as well. So for number 7, your answer would have been letter C. Number 8, more husbands are now performing household chores mainly because they get more time off from work than their wives. They prefer to remain at home and assist their wives. They are able to use labor saving devices, or they are responding to the changing roles of family members. This is your answer. So for number 8, the answer is letter D. They are responding to the changing roles of family members. Number 9, which of the following is least likely? Which of the following is the least likely effect of drug abuse on family life by one or both parents? So we saw this question already on the 2017 Social Studies past paper. If you have not watched that video yet, I will leave a link for it at the top section of the page so you can click on that. The options are physical abuse of children, increased rivalry among siblings, emotional tension among family members, insufficient money for children's education. So your answer here would have been increased rivalry among siblings. The question said which one is least likely to have an effect on the family when the parents or parent is on drugs. Normally, if there's a situation like that, the children normally stay close together, so there would have been little chance of increased rivalry among the siblings. So for number 9, your answer is letter B. Number 10, some adolescents challenge the views and attitudes of adults. So such a situation is brought about by peer pressure, sibling rivalry, parental pressure, or generational conflict. So as a result of the generation gap, the generational conflict is what would cause this between adolescents and adults. So for number 10, your answer is letter D. Number 11, which of the following practices is most likely to account for the high incidence of street children in the Caribbean? Parental abandonment, that means their parents are abandoning them, selling of illegal drugs, stealing to support self, or involvement in prostitution. So for number 11, your answer would have been A, that is parental abandonment. Number 12, which of the following characteristics must a group possess for it to be considered a formal group? That's a code of conduct, specific objectives, and membership requirements. A formal group would need all of these things in order to be considered a formal group. So your answer for number 12 would have been letter D, that is option 1, 2, and 3. Number 13. The citizens of Gordon Village are not satisfied with plans to locate a cemetery on land adjacent to the main river in their community. They formed a group to make representation to the parish council. The group they formed may best be described as. Alright, so what these people have in common is an interest. So that kind of group would have been an interest group. So for number 13, your answer would have been letter C. Number 14, Ralph is the leader of his school's choir. He makes all group decisions without consulting his other group members. What type of leader is Ralph? Ralph is an authoritarian leader where he makes all the decisions on his own. Number 15, which of the following best characterizes a primary group? Primary groups are usually very small and they interact very closely to each other. So the options are large size, occasional contact, face-to-face interaction, or a common name or title. The answer for number 15 would have been letter C, that is face-to-face interaction. Number 16. Democratic control and open membership are features of a sole trader, street gang, private company, or a cooperative society. So this one would have been a cooperative society where you actually have a say in the process and everyone can actually join. So for number 16, that would have been letter D for your answer. For number 17, which of the following actions is most likely to lead to the survival of a group? Survival of a group means that the group is going to stay for a long time. The options are solving problems as a group, members acting individually. No, you don't want members to be acting individually as a group. That would create problems. Leader controlling group members, or members being critical of group goals. If the members are critical of the group goals, then they will not have a common consensus, so that will also create problems. So your answer for number 17 would have been letter A, which is solving problems as a group. That will most likely lead to the survival of the group. Number 18. Samuel broke one of the school rules and the teacher gave him 250 lines to write. So Samuel is basically being punished. The action of the teacher is an example of a right, a norm, a ritual, or a sanction. That is a sanction. So for number 18, your answer would have been letter D. Number 19. Which of the following may be classified as institutions? Religion, marriage, or government? So there are only two institutions here. That is marriage and government. Those are the two institutions. So your answer for number 19 would have been 2 and 3 only. So that would have been letter C. Number 20. The plan proposed by political parties for managing a country is published in a document called a manifesto. Well, yeah. So that's the option. So there's pamphlet, manifesto, magazine, and constitution. So that would have been a manifesto. That is letter B for number 20. Number 21. In which of the following countries is proportional representation practiced? That is Guyana, Jamaica, Barbados, or St. Vincent. Your answer for that one would have been Guyana. 22. Which of the following strategies is a political party likely to use to reach a large number of persons in the shortest possible time? So they can use posters, public meetings, electronic media, house-to-house visits. The question said in the shortest possible time to reach a large number of people, so that would have to be electronic media. So for 22, the answer is letter C. 23. In a constitutional monarchy, the political leader of the victorious party becomes the Prime Minister. So the options are Prime Minister, Governor General, Leader of the House, or President of the Senate. So the answer would have been Prime Minister. Number 24. Which of the following groups of Caribbean countries has a republican form of government? So once you can identify one of these countries that has a republican form of government, then it would have been easier for you to figure out your answer. So Trinidad and Tobago is a republic. It has a republican form of government, as well as Guyana. So your answer for number 24 would have been letter B. 25. The role of the opposition in Parliament can best be described as A. Inciting civil disobedience and mass protest. B. Voting in favor of all bills debated in Parliament. C. Presenting alternatives to government policies. Or D. Rejecting policies which the ruling party proposes. The answer for this one would have been letter C, that is presenting alternatives to government's policies. 26. Which of the following outlines the order through which a bill proceeds to become a law in most Caribbean countries? Alright, this can be a little tricky, but you can think of it this way. The bill would start in the lower house first, because it is lower, then it goes to upper. You know who is basically the head of these countries, which is the representative of the Queen, who is the Governor General. So that person would be the last person that it needs to go through. So with that in mind, you would look at the options to see which one starts out with lower and ends with the Governor General, and that would have been letter B. So lower house, upper house, and then Governor General or President. So for number 26, your answer would have been letter B. Number 27. In the English-speaking Caribbean, the first court which hears criminal offences is usually the High Court, Coroner's Court, Court of Appeal, or the Magistrates' Court. That would have been your Magistrates' Court. For number 28, a national budget has a surplus when the expenditure is. So surplus means that you have more, you have some left. And expenditure is what you are spending. Revenue is what you are getting. So you will only have more, which is a surplus, if you are spending less than what you are getting. So a national budget has a surplus when the expenditure is less than the revenue. So your answer for number 28 would have been letter B. 29. The constitutions of Commonwealth Caribbean countries guarantee citizens freedom of conscience, expression, assembly, and movement. We saw this question as well on the 2017 paper. These freedoms are usually referred to as your human rights. So 29 would have been letter C. Number 30. In CARICOM countries, citizens have the right to vote. This right is called enumeration, social justice, disenfranchisement, or universal adult suffrage. Your answer would have been letter D, which is universal adult suffrage. We will stop here for today. If you would like to continue seeing more videos like this, or if you would like me to complete the rest of the paper, please ensure that you like the video, leave a comment, as well as subscribing to the channel so that we can provide more videos like these and complete this paper so that you can be very prepared for your social studies exam. It is always a pleasure to assist you. Thank you very much for watching.